Sergio Perez has described the Mexican Grand Prix as the worst thing that could have happened after the Red Bull driver was knocked out of the race on the opening lap. Perez was wanting to entertain the crowds at his home Grand Prix, with plenty in the stands eager to see Sergio perhaps become the first Mexican driver to ever win the Mexico Grand Prix in Formula 1. But all that was felt from both the man behind the wheel and those in support in the stands watching was frustration and heartbreak in the end. After a great start off the line, Perez was able to manoeuvre his way from 5th on the grid to being up alongside the leaders at turn 1, but the 33-year-old turned in on the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, clipping the front wing and tyre while sending his own car into the air and landing heavily on the runoff track. While initially able to recontinue, the damage from the incident led to the end of the home driver's race. Yes, there were 3 of us in T1, and with these very wide cars, it was complicated to get through, said Sergio Perez to Canal+. I took a risk and it didn't pay off. It's a shame that it happened here in front of my home crowd. It's the worst thing that could have happened. I didn't think Leclerc would brake so late. Compounding the frustration for the Mexican was the results of both Lewis Hamilton and Danny Ricciardo, with the British driver once more finding the second spot on the podium and making up the ground in the driver's title battle for second place in the overall standings, a race that Perez needs to win in order to have a chance of keeping his job at Red Bull for next season, according to rumours around the paddock. The man in line to take that job, Danny Ricciardo, was able to bring his AlphaTauri home in 7th with a very impressive weekend indeed. And there's no doubt the result in Mexico has piled on more pressure for Perez, as a change of driver alongside Max Verstappen looks more and more likely for next season. Violence broke out in the grandstands in Mexico City this weekend as F1 fans began fighting each other at the Mexican Grand Prix. Tensions were perhaps running high in the huge grandstand at the Fort Sol Stadium bleachers after the home support watched their man Sergio Perez crash out of the Grand Prix in the opening laps. But no one was expecting or wanting to see the scenes that popped up on social media as a man dressed in a white t-shirt got into a physical altercation with a pair of fans in Ferrari tops. The ugly scenes were posted online, with the Mexican Grand Prix's official account reporting that the violent fan had been removed from the venue, while unconfirmed reports suggested that he'd been slapped with a lifetime ban, and rightfully so. You can see the footage on GPFans.com, but this sort of overspilling of passion is something that F1 is keen to remove from its grandstands as quickly as possible, as they look to provide the best and safest race experience for all fans in attendance. And finally, Lewis Hamilton received the adulation of the crowd in Mexico as he set yet another F1 record this weekend. The British driver finished second behind Max Verstappen as he closes in on Sergio Perez's second place in the drivers' standings, now just 20 points between the Red Bull driver and himself, with this weekend's podium also taking Hamilton to a grand total of 197 top 3 finishes, the most in the sport's history. Now, it is a record that Hamilton already holds, and he has held for some time, with Michael Schumacher second to the British driver with 155 podium finishes. But Hamilton keeps on extending his lead over the rest of the field in that category, with his first podium appearance since Singapore back in September coming this weekend. His controlled drive across Sunday's race and incredible tyre management certainly showing why Hamilton is arguably the greatest driver that we've ever seen in Formula 1. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments section below. Of course, Max Verstappen may have a chance to take that record of podium finishes come the end of his career as well. We'll have to keep an eye on that and everything else in Formula 1. You can do that by getting onto gpfans.com and GPFans Global across social media, and hit subscribe down below to stick with us here at the YouTube channel.